Can we talk about this beast of a subwoofer in the RSL Speed Woofer 12S? It's Joe and Tell time. For full disclosure, RSL did send this product free for the purpose of this review. They did not get to review this prior, and I'm able to say whatever I want about it. So let's take a quick overview of the specs. If you don't have time, we'll just get into most of it right here. So first off, the price, it's $7.99, which I think is an awesome value for what you get. As far as performance, they claim that this can go down to 16 Hertz, and my measurements confirm that. This subwoofer consists of a 12-inch driver and a 500 watt RMS amplifier. This subwoofer is large. The dimensions are 18.9 inches wide by 22.3 inches deep by 22.8 inches high. You may want someone to help you out with the sub because it is 82 pounds and the box that it comes with is 106 pounds. This is a rear ported subwoofer and we'll get into that later in the video. So diving a little bit deeper, we'll take a look at the driver and the enclosure. Reading directly from their website, it says here that they have a die-cast aluminum frame with dual spider. It also says Clipple optimized high excursion FEA optimization. It's also interesting to see that they use a Kevlar reinforced paper cone woofer, but the entire front is the dust cap, which is made out of aluminum. To finish it off, this is using an NBR surround. As far as enclosure, it's a 3/4 inch MDF. They do have significant cross bracing and they're using a thicker 1-inch baffle. It is a vented port and they have their own technology that they claim helps it provide a smoother, better bass response. The cloth grille is pretty plain, but it's cool that they cut out the bottom so it fits right in with the rest of the design. Just a nice overall touch. It does have rubber feet on the bottom and they include furniture movers, that's to give you a hint of how big this thing is, that work on both a wood floor and a carpeted floor. So turning around to the back of the subwoofer, you see their XDR 500 watt RMS Class D amplifier. They also say that they have a patent pending HSS heat sink shielding, which helps keep this cool. It also has 4 DSP presets built in for reference, music, movies, and boundary, with reference being the flattest, music seeming to have less of a bass extension, movies having an extra bump in the frequency response, and boundary limiting the low frequency extension significantly so you don't annoy neighbors. It does turn on automatically with a 3 millivolt signal, and it turns off after 20 minutes. So nearly every subwoofer has an RCA input. This also has an RCA output with an adjustable high pass filter. So that's interesting if you have, let's say, an integrated amp without a crossover for your main speakers. You can actually limit the amount of bass from your main speakers so the sub can take care of that, and that frees up the power for the speakers to play more cleanly without distortion. It also has speaker line level inputs as an option. It has a USB port for their wireless receiver, which I'm happy to say is pretty inexpensive. It's $80 if you purchase it with the subwoofer and $100 if you purchase it after. It includes the transmitter and the receiver, so I think that's actually a very good deal. Okay, so jumping into the digital signal processing capabilities of this, it doesn't have DSP that you can control yourself, but it has those preset modes that I spoke of earlier. I mentioned that there's a high pass for the main speakers, but you can also adjust the low pass frequencies for the subwoofer itself. The range for both is 30 Hz to 250 Hz with an option to bypass that completely. The bypass is handy if you want to daisy chain multiple subwoofers if you only have one subwoofer output. The low pass crossover is a 24 decibel per octave slope, which is what is typical and what I would recommend. You also get a phase knob that allows you to adjust from 0 to 180 degrees and a volume control in the back that does not have any hard stop, so it'll spin continuously, which is a little bit tricky because if you happen to mess with that by accident, you may think like, well, how am I gonna get that back to where it needs to be? And they have an answer for that. It's this awesome volume control that you see here in the front. I haven't seen anything like this before, but I love the way it looks, and it actually has a functionality in that you can set the number of levels and maybe write that down somewhere in case something were to happen. You can always get it back to the exact same setting. To make up for that lack of app control, they gave you a physical remote control, which I think is very handy. It allows you to change the modes and change the volume from your seating position. Now we have to talk about how they measure and how they sound. The measurements on their website correlate with what my measurements were in my room. They definitely have good bass response, good bass extension. I was getting 16 Hz, no problem, like they said. As I explained in my subwoofer buying guide, I do prefer a flatter response because it helps you blend it with your main speakers and it just sounds more musical overall. And this is a flat response depending on the mode that you're in, the reference mode being very flat, but it also depends on how you measure the port, because here's the driver and here's the port, and you can tell that the port is higher in volume, but it depends on how close you get the mic. If I place it right here in the middle between the two, so halfway between the port and the driver, this is the response that I got. But if I were to take this outdoors where maybe it was off the floor, I'm sure that would measure a little bit different and not have that peak that you see here. So those are the measurements. I don't have any CTA 2010 measurements showing the levels at which they distort, but I played this pretty much as loud as I could play them, and I couldn't get them to distort. I mean, it got scary loud, and I was playing some bass notes that I couldn't really hear, but it was shaking everything. As you can see from this video, it is nuts. Sorry, RSL, you know what I have to do. That's right, max. Laptop's crawling away. 20 hertz. Alright, it's doing its thing. 16. Yep, stuff is shaking. 12.5. Look at my hand. 10. Whoa. Yeah, I don't know what else you could possibly want from a subwoofer. It does exactly what it says it's gonna do. As far as the sound quality, it sounds great for movies and music. The measurements, like I've said before, correlate with what I hear. If it measures well, it typically sounds good, and these definitely do. So let's talk about some of the cons. One being that the vinyl wrap is pretty cheap on this. If you were to move this around, it's a heavy box. As you see on mine, there are some areas where vinyl came off. That's one of the sacrifices you make when you spend less on a subwoofer. You don't get that beautiful gloss finish that you get with some other subs, and that's just what it is. Also, it doesn't have app control. I wish that there were, because I like to be able to apply PEQ, and you can't with this particular sub. Also, it doesn't have a remote trigger. I prefer that to the one that auto senses a signal, because if you have the volume too low, sometimes it doesn't turn on the sub. Not this one in particular, but other subs that I've tried. So I wish there was a physical way to connect this to your AVR or processor. Also, there's no way to adjust the delay. I wish they would have included something for that. And the literal elephant in the room is how large the enclosure is. This thing is huge, and talking to them over there at RSL, they said that that was one of the compromises that they made. If you watch my video, I talk about Hoffman's iron law, and basically they said we didn't want to compromise on the actual performance. And so they had to make the enclosure large, and I think it was the right choice. Fortunately, and maybe unfortunately, it comes in a large box, which is hard to move, but ensures that the subwoofer is safe inside here, has a ton of padding, it is that soft foam, and they have this nice RSL lettering all around. Just a nice touch, a nice unboxing experience. They even give you a whole manual to show you how to do it properly. And to the pros,
monstrous sound.
This thing performs. If you want a sub that digs deep, plays loud, this is it. Also, at the price of $7.99, you can't deny that this is an awesome value, maybe one of the best out there currently. I also like the remote control. I like the front display. It looks awesome, and there's actual useful functionality that goes along with it. I think overall the entire thing looks cool. I think that the driver looks cool. It looks good with the grill on or off. I like that they include a high level input and that adjustable high pass crossover. That's not typical. They offer a 30-day in-home trial. You do have to pay $150 for the shipping cost, because that's just the cost of shipping. But there is no restocking fee, so you can try it out if you want, if you dare. I would definitely recommend prior that you measure and make sure that you can fit the subwoofer before seeing it and saying, oh man, that's too huge. They also include a 5-year warranty on the woofer and a 3-year warranty on the electronics. And the last thing is that these guys are real folks. It's someone you can really call up, and you can tell from their manuals, it's just written by normal people for normal people, and it feels good to support a company like that. RSL, Rogers Sound Labs, has been around for a while, and they are direct consumer, and you can tell that they're a smaller company, but you benefit from that in that there is that personal touch. So as far as alternative subwoofers in this price range that can also dig down to 16, 17 hertz, you also have to look at something like the Monolith THX 12-inch subwoofer. That is a 12-inch ported sub with a 500-watt amplifier. Currently, that's $899, so a little bit more expensive than this one. Then from SVS, you have their PB2000 Pro, which is a 12-inch ported subwoofer. It is 550 watts RMS. It's currently $1,099, but they have app control, which both of the previous ones did not. You also have stuff from Shure, PSA, some DIY stuff. some of the new subs from Klipsch, but I have never reviewed those, so I can't say anything about them from a personal standpoint. So I will eventually put the subwoofer on the subwoofer leaderboard and rank it based on price and which one I like the best. I'll leave a link to that down below and you can take a look once I update it. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell to be notified when I upload new videos. That's it. Take care. Bye-bye.
Welcome to the DIY Watch Club, where you become the horologist. Ever dream of creating your own timepiece? Their DIY watch kit makes it a reality. It's more than fun. It's an education in watchmaking and a source of unmatched pride. Experience the quality and precision of the Seiko NH34 GMT movement, housed in a robust 41mm case. Ready for adventure? This is no ordinary timepiece. It's a diver's watch capable of venturing 660 feet beneath the surface. The sapphire crystal face, resilient against scratches, coupled with an exhibition caseback, invites admiration and conversation. But that's not all. Everything is customizable: the hands, the bezels, the band. Check out shop.diywatch.club and join the club today. At DIY Watch Club, the time to craft your style is now.